Have you ever reached into your pocket, opened an old coin jar, or sorted through a forgotten collection without realizing that one ordinary-looking penny could completely change the story of your finances? It sounds unbelievable, but history has proven that rare coins with the right characteristics can sell for astonishing amounts. That's exactly why collectors never overlook the 1939 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. While most examples are worth only modest amounts, a rare, exceptional specimen with extraordinary preservation or a highly desirable mint error has attracted incredible attention, with top-tier examples reportedly reaching values approaching $739,000 in elite collector markets. The question is simple. What if one of those pennies is sitting unnoticed in your home right now? The 1939 Lincoln cent was struck in Philadelphia, which means it carries no mint mark beneath the date. Millions were produced, making it seem common at first glance. But in the world of coin collecting, common doesn't always stay common. As decades pass, pristine survivors become increasingly difficult to find, and tiny minting mistakes can transform an ordinary cent into a collector's dream. Imagine someone spending this penny on a loaf of bread before World War II, never imagining that nearly a century later, people would search for the very same coin with magnifying glasses and auction catalogs. That's the fascinating part of coin collecting. History has a funny way of hiding treasure in plain sight. Now here's where things become truly exciting. Collectors carefully inspect every 1939 penny for sharp details, original red color, strong luster, and signs of unusual striking errors. Off-center strikes, dramatic die cracks, doubled design elements, or other authentic minting mistakes can make certain coins far more desirable than standard examples. The better the condition, the stronger the demand. But wait a second. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies sitting in your change dish? Exactly. Most people don't. That's why valuable discoveries continue to happen every year. The difference between an average coin and an extraordinary one can be incredibly small. A barely visible detail, an untouched surface, or a rare production error can separate a 1-cent coin from something collectors compete aggressively to own. That's why experienced buyers never rush. They examine every angle, every letter, and every tiny feature before deciding its true value. Here's the part that creates real urgency. Thousands of old pennies disappear every year because people spend them, roll them into bank deposits, or leave them forgotten in dusty boxes. Once a rare example is lost, another opportunity disappears with it. Every overlooked coin could be a missed financial opportunity. Before you assume your old penny isn't special, remember that appearances can be deceiving. Some of the most valuable coins ever discovered looked completely ordinary until an expert identified the rare characteristics hidden within them. And here's something worth remembering. The market for exceptional Lincoln cents continues to attract serious collectors willing to pay remarkable prices for the finest examples. Condition, authenticity, rarity, and collector demand always determine the final value, which is why professional grading is an important step before selling any potentially valuable coin. So the next time you find a 1939 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, don't rush to spend it. Hold it carefully. Examine it closely. Compare every detail. That single decision could mean the difference between carrying 1 cent in your pocket and holding a remarkable piece of American history that collectors may one day compete to own. Sometimes extraordinary wealth doesn't arrive in a suitcase. Sometimes it arrives disguised as the smallest coin in your pocket. Have you ever reached into your pocket, pulled out a single penny, and wondered if that tiny copper-colored coin could be worth more than a luxury home? It sounds unbelievable, yet stories of ordinary Americans discovering extraordinary coins have turned spare change into life-changing fortunes. And today, we're uncovering one of the most talked-about coins among collectors the 1962 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny. Before you assume every 1962 D penny is valuable, don't make the mistake that has cost countless people the chance to identify a truly remarkable coin. The Denver Mint produced billions of pennies in 1962, making them seem common at first glance. That's exactly why many of these coins have been overlooked for decades. Hidden among the ordinary examples are exceptional pieces with rare characteristics that serious collectors compete to own. While most circulated coins are worth only a few cents, certain high-grade examples and dramatic mint errors have commanded astonishing prices at major auctions. Now here's where the story becomes fascinating. Imagine opening an old coffee can filled with pennies collected by your grandparents. You expect nothing more than pocket change. Then, one coin catches your eye. The date reads 1962, and beneath it sits the tiny D mint mark. At first, it looks perfectly ordinary. But appearances can be deceiving. Collectors search for coins with blazing original luster, razor-sharp details, and surfaces untouched by decades of circulation. The difference between an average coin and an extraordinary one can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's why experts examine every tiny detail under magnification. But wait, what if the real treasure isn't the date at all? Some of the most valuable 1962 D pennies feature striking mint errors. Look for dramatic off-center strikes, doubled lettering, die cracks, clipped planchets, or broad strike errors. These minting mistakes transform an ordinary coin into something unique. Since no two major errors are exactly alike, demand among collectors can become incredibly competitive. Here's something that surprises many people. Cleaning your coin is one of the fastest ways to destroy its value. It may seem like polishing makes it look better, but experienced collectors prefer original surfaces. A shiny, cleaned coin can lose a significant portion of its collectible appeal. Funny how trying to help a coin can actually hurt it, isn't it? As the rare coin market has continued to attract investors and collectors alike, exceptional Lincoln cents have gained increasing attention. Premium quality 1962 D pennies with outstanding preservation and rare characteristics have achieved remarkable auction results. Some reports have even fueled excitement with claims of values approaching an incredible $762. $00 for extraordinary examples under the right circumstances, proving that condition and rarity can completely change a coin's destiny. So before you spend another old penny without looking twice, ask yourself one simple question. What if the next coin sitting in your drawer is the one collectors have spent years searching for? That possibility keeps treasure hunters checking every handful of change, every forgotten piggy bank, and every inherited collection. Most people see 1 cent. Experienced collectors see history, rarity, and opportunity. The next time a 1962 D. Lincoln penny crosses your path, don't rush to spend it. Study it carefully. Compare its details. Protect it from damage. Have it evaluated by a reputable professional if it appears exceptional. Because somewhere, perhaps in a jar, a dresser drawer, or an old family collection, another overlooked penny could still be waiting to surprise its owner. And sometimes, the smallest coin carries the biggest story of all.
Have you ever reached into your pocket, grabbed a handful of pennies, and tossed them into a jar without a second thought? What if one of those ordinary-looking coins could completely change your financial future? It sounds unbelievable, but some Lincoln cents have shocked collectors by selling for staggering amounts. And one coin that continues to spark excitement is the 1964 D. Lincoln cent. Before you spend another penny, you may want to take a much closer look. The 1964 D. Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint during a time when America was experiencing tremendous change. Millions were produced, which leads most people to believe every example is common. But that's where countless collectors make a costly mistake. In the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes it's all about condition, extraordinary minting errors, and the tiny details that separate an everyday coin from an astonishing discovery. Imagine finding a coin worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, hiding in a forgotten piggy bank. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? Yet stories like these happen more often than most people realize. The real excitement begins when collectors discover exceptional examples with sharp details, blazing original color, and almost flawless surfaces. Coins preserved in pristine mint condition are dramatically harder to find than worn examples that spent decades changing hands. The better the condition, the stronger the demand among serious collectors. Then come the famous minting errors. A dramatic off-center strike, a broad strike, a die crack, a double design, or other significant production mistakes can transform an ordinary penny into a conversation piece that collectors fiercely compete to own. These errors weren't supposed to leave the mint, making surviving examples incredibly desirable. Now here's a question. When was the last time you actually looked at the date on a penny before spending it? Exactly. Most of us don't. That's why valuable coins continue slipping through cash registers every single day. The highest quality 1964 Lincoln cents with remarkable eye appeal and extraordinary characteristics have attracted enormous attention at major auctions. Some exceptional specimens with unique qualities have reached astonishing values, while stories continue circulating about examples believed to be worth as much as $764,000 under extraordinary circumstances. That's enough to make anyone think twice before dropping loose change into a vending machine. But don't let excitement replace careful judgment. Not every 1964 penny is valuable, and not every unusual-looking coin is a rare treasure. Cleaning a coin, polishing it, or trying to improve its appearance can instantly destroy much of its collector value. Ironically, leaving a rare coin exactly as you found it is often the smartest decision you can make. Here's something even more surprising. The next valuable coin may already be sitting inside an old coffee can, a family coin collection, or a forgotten dresser drawer inherited years ago. Hidden treasures rarely announce themselves. They simply wait for someone curious enough to notice. So before you ignore another Lincoln cent, slow down and inspect it carefully. Look for the Denver Mint mark beneath the date, examine the surfaces under bright light, and pay attention to anything unusual. The smallest detail could become the biggest financial surprise of your life. Sometimes incredible opportunities don't arrive wrapped in gold. Sometimes they arrive disguised as a single copper penny that almost everyone else overlooked. And that may be exactly why your next life-changing discovery is still waiting to be found. Have you ever reached into your pocket, grabbed a handful of pennies, and tossed them into a jar without a second thought? What if one of those ordinary-looking coins wasn't ordinary at all? What if a single 1967 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin millions of Americans have seen, could be the difference between loose change and a life-changing payday? Before you spend another penny, stay with me because one tiny detail could completely change the story. The 1967 Lincoln cent was produced during a unique period in American coinage. To discourage collectors from hoarding newly struck coins, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from circulating coins. That means every genuine 1967 Lincoln cent was struck without a mint mark, making it unlike many other years where collectors search for letters beneath the date. Now here's where things become fascinating. While billions of these pennies were produced, only an incredibly small number stand out because of exceptional preservation, rare striking errors, or unusual die varieties. Those are the coins that capture the attention of serious collectors and competitive auction bidders. Imagine finding an old penny in a forgotten coffee can in your garage. It looks ordinary, feels ordinary, but after a closer inspection you notice razor-sharp details, brilliant original luster, or a strange doubling in the lettering. Suddenly, that humble cent isn't just pocket change anymore. It's a potential collector's prize. And here's something that surprises many people. The highest values aren't simply based on age. Condition is everything. A heavily circulated 1967 penny may only be worth its face value, while an example graded at the very highest mint state levels with extraordinary eye appeal or a significant mint error can command astonishing prices in the collector market. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies sitting in your home? Be honest. If you're like most people, they're hiding in a drawer, a piggy bank, or the cup holder of your car. Funny how we ignore the smallest coins, isn't it? Sometimes the smallest treasures are the ones hiding in plain sight. Some collectors have reported extraordinary examples attracting attention with values reaching as high as hundreds of thousands of dollars, and stories continue to circulate about exceptionally rare specimens with estimated values approaching an incredible $767,000 under the right market conditions, especially when rarity, elite grading, and collector demand align. That's why experienced collectors inspect every detail. They look for doubled lettering, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, dramatic misalignments, and coins that somehow escaped circulation with nearly flawless surfaces. Every tiny characteristic tells part of the coin's story, and sometimes that story becomes extremely valuable. Here's the part most people never consider. Every day, valuable coins accidentally disappear back into circulation because someone assumes they're worth only 1 cent. Think about that. A potential treasure could be spent on a vending machine snack simply because nobody stopped to take a closer look. The next time you receive change at the grocery store, don't rush to drop those pennies into your pocket. Slow down. Turn them over. Check the date. Examine the surface under good lighting. One careful inspection could reveal something that thousands of other people overlooked. History has a funny way of rewarding the curious. The 1967 Lincoln 1-cent penny reminds us that remarkable discoveries often begin with ordinary moments. So before you dismiss another penny as worthless, remember that fortunes have started with far less than a single cent. Your next incredible discovery may already be waiting in the palm of your hand, quietly challenging you to notice what everyone else missed. Have you ever reached into a jar of old pennies, glanced at a 1968 South Lincoln Center, and tossed it aside without a second thought? What if that tiny copper coin wasn't just spare change, but the kind of discovery collectors dream about? Some of the rarest examples have stunned the numismatic world, with exceptional pieces and extraordinary error varieties bringing astonishing prices. In the right condition, combined with the right characteristics, a remarkable specimen has been associated with values reaching as high as $768,000. Before you dismiss another old penny, stay with me, because the next few minutes could completely change the way you look at every coin in your pocket. The story begins in 1968, when the San Francisco Mint resumed producing proof Lincoln cents after a brief pause in previous years. Every coin carried the familiar S-Mint mark beneath the date, representing craftsmanship intended for collectors rather than everyday circulation. But history has a funny habit of hiding surprises where nobody expects them. Most 1968 South pennies are common proof coins. That's exactly why so many people overlook them. The real treasure lies in the rare exceptions. Certain coins escaped the mint with dramatic errors, while others survived for decades with nearly flawless surfaces and breathtaking eye appeal. Those are the coins that ignite bidding wars whenever they appear at major auctions. Now here's the question. If millions were made, why would one be worth more than a luxury home? The answer is rarity within rarity. Collectors don't simply pay for age. They pay for perfection, scarcity, and unforgettable minting mistakes. Imagine opening an old family collection and spotting a brilliant 1968 S-penny with razor-sharp details, mirrored fields, and no obvious damage. Your heart starts racing. Is it ordinary, or could it be something extraordinary? That's where careful inspection becomes everything. Watch for unusual doubling in the lettering, dramatic off-center strikes, missing design elements, or other authentic mint errors. Even subtle differences can separate a coin worth a few dollars from one worth thousands. Add elite preservation certified by a respected grading service, and the value can climb dramatically. But don't rush. Cleaning a coin is one of the fastest ways to destroy its collectible value. It may seem like a good idea to make it shine, but experienced collectors would rather see decades of natural originality than artificial brightness. Think of it this way. You wouldn't repaint a priceless masterpiece with hardware store paint, would you? Here's something even more exciting. Many valuable coins have spent years hidden inside forgotten proof sets, inherited collections, desk drawers, and safety deposit boxes. Owners often have no idea what they're holding because every 1968's penny looks similar at first glance. That's what makes this search so thrilling. Every unopened box, every old coin album, and every forgotten envelope carries the possibility of revealing something remarkable. The odds may be small, but someone eventually finds the next headline-making coin. Why couldn't that person be you? Before you spend another Lincoln cent or ignore another old proof set, take one more careful look. That single moment of curiosity could uncover a piece of American numismatic history worth far more than anyone imagined. Sometimes extraordinary wealth doesn't arrive with flashing lights. Sometimes it waits quietly inside one small copper penny, hoping someone finally recognizes its true value before it's gone forever. Have you checked the pennies hiding in your pocket lately? Most people toss them into a jar without a second thought, but one ordinary-looking 1994 Lincoln 1-cent coin without a mint mark could be worth far more than its face value. Some collectors have paid astonishing prices for exceptionally rare examples with the right combination of condition and minting errors. The next penny you spend on a cup of coffee could be the one another collector has been searching for. Before you dismiss that idea as impossible, remember this. Incredible coin discoveries happen because someone decided to look instead of assuming every penny was ordinary. The 1994 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, where coins traditionally carried no mint mark. Hundreds of millions were produced, making most examples worth only a cent. That is exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Hidden among millions of common coins are a tiny number with unusual characteristics that can transform an everyday coin into something collectors compete to own. Now here is where things become exciting. The value is never based on the date alone. Professional collectors search for exceptional preservation, razor-sharp details, brilliant original color, and unusual minting errors. A dramatic off-center strike, a double design, die cracks, die breaks, or other legitimate production mistakes can dramatically increase collector interest. Add a nearly flawless uncirculated condition, and suddenly a forgotten penny can enter an entirely different league. Think about it for a moment. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? What if one of them deserved another look before disappearing forever? That single thought has motivated countless treasure hunters to search their spare change. Of course, not every online claim should be accepted without question. Stories of pennies worth hundreds of thousands of dollars usually involve extremely rare combinations of condition, certified authenticity, and unusual characteristics verified by respected grading services. Some headlines even mention values approaching $794,000 for extraordinary examples sold under exceptional market conditions, but those prices represent the rarest of the rare rather than the average 1994 penny. That should not discourage you. In fact, it should inspire you. Every remarkable discovery begins with someone paying attention while everyone else walks away. The difference between an ordinary spender and a successful collector is often nothing more than curiosity. Before you rush to empty every coin jar in your house, ask yourself one question. Would you recognize a valuable coin if it were sitting in your hand right now? If the answer is no, that is exactly why learning the basics matters. A small magnifying glass, good lighting, and a careful eye can reveal details that most people overlook every single day. Imagine finding a beautiful 1994 Lincoln cent with crisp lettering, original luster, and an unusual striking error. Instead of spending it, you have it professionally authenticated. Weeks later, collectors begin competing for ownership. That simple penny you almost ignored becomes the highlight of an auction and possibly one of the most exciting discoveries of your life. Stories like these remind us that hidden opportunities often appear in the most ordinary places. The next time you receive change at a grocery store, gas station, or local restaurant, slow down before slipping those coins into your pocket. One careful glance could make all the difference. Sometimes the greatest treasures are not buried underground. Sometimes they have been hiding in plain sight all along, waiting for someone observant enough to recognize their true value before everyone else does.